mean, but it is going to be more expensive for you to buy anything nowadays, and that's the problem. And he's trying to blame it on inflation. America is looking at this and saying, we don't care what you blame it on, just fix it. We can't afford these high prices at the gas pump anymore.
Well, now you got President Obama's former advisor saying Biden keeps blaming the supply chain for inflation, but he's just being dishonest about it. So now you see the Democrats now are all circling in the New York Times. The president needs a win. This is why he gave that speech yesterday. Unfortunately, he doesn't have anything to show for it right now in the country. You see Democrats are circling the wagon right now, trying to find some type of message. Steve, you say that it's a messaging problem. I think it's an agenda problem. When you don't have an agenda for the American people, and it's important to understand that the president really doesn't understand this issue because there's a bill right now that he's trying to get through Congress to bring even more money into the market. As you know, there's way too much money in the market right now, which is why we're starting to see inflation so high. And you're seeing it everywhere, from the gas prices to if you want to get milk and meat. It's hitting everyone.
Everyone, yeah.
Yeah, well, Stephen Ratner said there's too much money in the economy. He said it's a classic case of too much money chasing too few goods. But his larger point is, and that's how he started it, Mr. President, you can't keep blaming the supply chain. It's not the supply chain.
Two different issues.
In fact, just to show you, ladies and gentlemen, Exhibit A, here is the president doing exactly what Stephen Ratner, who was an official during the Obama years and worked with Joe Biden, says is not honest.
Look, as you know, Ken, the inflation has everything to do with the supply chain. Let's look at the reasons for the inflation. The reason for the inflation is the supply chains were cut off.
And if you read the op-ed in the New York Times, it makes it very clear. He does not, the way he's presenting it, looks like he doesn't understand it because the supply chains were not cut off. Essentially, the demand came back so quickly and we were unable to create enough stuff. The administration did not plan for a quick comeback. And that's what we got. And people wanted to buy stuff, and it wasn't there because supply and demand.
Well, it's an excellent read, and this is a portion of what he wrote in the New York Times. He says, blaming inflation on supply lines is like complaining about your sweater keeping you too warm after you've added several logs to the fireplace. The bulk of our supply problems are the product of the overstimulated economy, not the cause of it. All that consumption has resulted from vast amounts of government rescue aid, including 3 rounds of stimulus checks and substantial underspending by consumers during the lockdown. He goes on to say this is a ripple effect. He says used car prices are up 55% over January 2020 levels. Food costs are up. Furniture and bedding up 19%. Laundry equipment up 33%. Shipping delays. Commerce Department saying that imports into the U.S. are up almost 21% over last year. Delays with unloading the ships. People leaving their jobs. Employers can't find workers. The homeless problems. Crime is up. Build Back Better, he says, will add $750 billion to the deficit over the first 5 years. Can we afford all of this? There's too much money out there. He's adding too much. Yeah. This Build Back Better, it is going to, you think inflation's bad now? Good thing it didn't pass. It's too much money.
So you got the crisis hitting the cars, and then people got to pay an enormous amount for gas. So look what Abby Hornacek has to say. I just got back from Los Angeles. She said, meanwhile, in Los Angeles, 1 gallon of regular gas costs more than $5. That's $6.44 for 1 gallon of regular.
Premium is $6.79.
This is asinine, and this is the type of stuff that will change the mood of the country. They're so concerned about stuff's social justice and all of this identity politics. That's not impacting Americans on a day-to-day basis. People of all races, when they go to the gas pump and they see this type of stuff happening, and this, by the way, hurts every industry. All right, those 18-wheelers, my dad is a truck driver. When they have to fill those up with this enormous amount of diesel fuel, the price for it, that's going to raise the price of goods on everything.
How expensive that is.
It is crazy.
An 18-wheeler.
And just wait until the Ukraine war starts. And, the president made it clear yesterday, it's going to be starting soon. And that price for self-serve regular, add another buck to that. They're suggesting it could be $7. There was one other very interesting thing in the Steve Ratner thing in the New York Times, and that was, he said, you know, one other thing that Joe Biden was talking about during the sit down with Lester Holt was, you know, he said, the reason cars are so much now is because there's a chip shortage, but we got Intel, the big chip manufacturer, to spend something like $20 billion on a new plant in Ohio, so that's going to help. What he didn't say is the new chip plant will not produce one single chip until 2025.
It is.
So that's 3 years. So sit back, relax. Joe Biden's got it covered. When he's up for re-election in 2020,
They don't have a clue, Steve. And
then they'll have new chips.
I know we got to go. The last thing I will say on this is that this was a self-inflicted wound from the Biden administration. His energy policy, shutting down plants in America, having this on day one, making it very clear that it was going to be a full assault when we were energy independent. I mean, he could have curbed some of this crisis that's happening in the country. We know that the pandemic affected a lot of this, but again, another self-inflicted wound from the Biden administration.
But why did he do that?
Yeah.
Anything Donald Trump touched,
the
he wanted to
progressives.
redo and undo. And
We
here
were
we are.
energy independent at one point. Gas prices were down. Inflation was 1.4% last January. Now it is 7.5%.
Not good.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.